There are two situations where I really wanted to quit filmmaking, quit the filmmaking business specifically, and like just go get that 9-to-5 job. And one affected my family more than the other. The first time was, and the most important time, but the first time was when we just came out of COVID. It was 2022, and I had tons of bookings, like 31 weddings, something ludicrous. I was working a ton, making so much money, but my daughter was born the previous year. My wife was on maternity leave, and my absence was burning away at my marriage. So much so that I think it was August, so near the tail end of the season, and Megan says to me, like, you're working too much, and your career is one of the reasons I don't think we can have another kid. Oh my God. And that kind of stuck with me. Like, I am the reason that our family can't grow. And that really struck a note. It struck a chord. What's the phrase? I don't really know. And I had to reflect a lot. Now, this podcast is really about like how to run a business. And we're going to get to that. But I want to share with you my second story. This couple booked a very prominent South Asian family here in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver area, and having them as a client was supposed to take my business to the next level because it was this social proof that a prominent family trusted us. So I gave some discounts, gave them a little extras. They wanted my payment schedule to be changed, so they had to pay after. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. That was not the case. It did not change my career. It was a pain in the ass eventually. Now, I filmed their wedding, a week-long wedding, badass stuff created. They had some feedback, created it. And then I'm on my friend's bachelor party. We were riding ATVs. I'm covered in dust, and I get a long text from the bride. And she was pissed that we did not send the videos as soon as their final payment came through. Now, one consolation I made to get this client was adjusting my payment schedule from 100% due before the wedding to final balance due when when they've approved the videos, and then I'll get the final payment. So they approved the videos pretty much when I was on the way to the bachelor party. And I texted the bride, said, hey, got the payment. I'm not gonna be able to send this until Monday. She responded with, the photographer sent it right away. How come you can't? And then now this whole thing spiraled. It was horrible. There were a lot of headaches, a lot of tough phone calls that I had with this couple. And I'm not the most confident salesperson, or not sales, but I'm just not that great on the phone. I'm better in email. And a year later, everything was resolved. I received some insight from the bride about why she was very short with me and so on. And the lesson I learned from that is to stick to my process, because had the payment been fulfilled on my schedule before the wedding, then I would have sent her videos like immediately, and everything would have been, or all this headache would have been avoided. So what did take on a ton of weddings cost me? What did adjusting and bending over for couples cost me? It wasn't necessarily burnout. It was a marriage that was eroding, and it was a spoiled bachelor party. Now, bachelor party, maybe the connotation is just like it's all wild and shenanigan, and we had a good time, but this was a special time in my relationship with one of my best friends. And it is tainted with that memory to this day. My friend has now been married for a while and they're having a kid, but I still remember this conversation I had with a bride. So it cost me a memory and almost my marriage. So here's ultimately what I want to talk about. The goal for me and what I want for you is it's not only just a successful business, but it's a business you enjoy running that allows you to live a life that you wish for yourself, your family, and your friends. That's what being an entrepreneur should be. You're creating a life on your terms, not on someone else's terms. Now, here is like a bad move, good move situation that maybe you've done, maybe you're about to do, but I definitely did it. You say yes to more gigs. Maybe you're working on every single stat holiday in the year, and you're not spending it with your significant other. And maybe you're spending money on gear that you don't necessarily need, or education that you're just going to purchase and not do anything with. The latter of which I have been guilty with many, many times. I am actually falling behind as we speak on some education because I'm in the thick of wedding season. The better move that I made and that I encourage you to have the foresight to make in the future is to prioritize time with your favorite people, not just work. You're going to miss time with your friends and family. You're not going to be there for your child. You're not going to be there for yourself. You're not going to take care of yourself. The better move is to make sure you're meeting a bottom line, working on filling your calendar, but also spending time with your favorite people. The business works for you. You do not work for the business. This is an ongoing thing I'm working on, but I have made some strides in the last couple of years. Maybe that means you have to say no to that gig on the long weekend. I mean, if it comes from like a referral and you want to have a better relationship with that planner or that agency, everything I say, like, take it with a grain of salt. But what I don't want from you or for you is that at the end of the year, you look back and you go, shit, I missed way too many moments, and you're not happy with your year. So remember, this isn't necessarily about your productivity and always staying busy, but if you are not careful and you're not actively being a well-rounded business owner, what can happen to someone like you, it has happened to me, is, to someone that loves this work and creating, filmmaking, storytelling, is that eventually you stop loving it because it ate up other areas of your life that's more important. Your marriage, time with your significant other, time with your friends. And just because you want to pick up a camera and work and make more money, it's not worth the cost of eroding away at the other areas of your life that are more important. And I know I keep saying this throughout the episode, but it really is important that you don't erode at the things that are actually important deep down. Like, what's really important is your quality of life, and the people around you are the ones that help contribute to that. That's what's at stake. Your marriage, your friendships, that's really what's at stake if you work far too hard. So here's something that you can work on, whether you're a wedding videographer, a commercial filmmaker, is maybe look back at 2025. How often did you miss out on something that was important? How much do you want to spend time with your favorite people this year? What is the cost of not doing that, of not spending time with your favorite people? But also at the same time, what can you give? It is okay to work on weekends and to spend time away from your favorite people. We all have to make sacrifices. Everybody in some way on this planet, from time immemorial and ahead of us, if you're working, you're going to make sacrifices. But as an entrepreneur, you have a little bit more control. What are you going to give up? And what are you going to say no to and put some boundaries up so that you can enjoy your life? The Northbound podcast and the Northbound event exists because I want creatives like you to succeed, whatever that version of success is. I want you to get paid for what you're worth. I want you to get paid to tell stories, but I want you to have the skills, the tools, and the community to make sure you can do that. When I first started, I didn't have resources like this here in Canada. And I'm not talking about video tutorials. I'm not talking about that. I didn't really have mentors that would open up and tell me their experiences. I didn't have an event that I can go to every single year, like the Northbound event that happens in Toronto. We're coming back to Toronto next year. I'll tell you about that later. I want you to have resources. So I'm going to share more stories. I'm going to share more lessons. I live a good life. I don't make as much as I want to. My business is doing well. I still have some business loans to pay off. But more importantly, dear creative, I get to spend time with my daughter and my wife. And I'm getting a little bit emotional because beyond my business, being a good father and a good husband, like, that's what's the most important to me. And I've gone through a lot of bullshit to end where I am or to get to where I am today. And what I want for you is to get there sooner than I did. That's what I hope for you. All right. I'll see you on the next one.